Hey everybody, this is Dr. Cohn. I wanted to talk for just a moment about the problems that can happen from piercings. Why would you have a problem from a piercing, an earring piercing or a navel piercing or something like that? Because a piercing is a piece of metal that penetrates the skin. Often the piercing is going right through an acupuncture point. Acupuncture is a powerful, real thing. When acupuncturists treat a point, they'll put a needle, which is metal, into an acupuncture point, and then 10, 20 minutes later, they pull the needle out. With a piercing, it's a piece of metal, sometimes in an acupuncture point, that never comes out. That can cause some strange symptoms with people if the piercing is in the wrong place. Typically, the ear piercing place of choice over millennia has been the earlobe, which is generally a safe place to put a piercing. But these days, there's a lot of piercings that happen in some of these other strange places, posts or studs, and they can be a big problem. I do see it's fairly common to have troubles with a navel piercing because that's right on an acupuncture point, the navel itself. And it's basically an acupuncture needle that's permanently left in, and it can cause some troubles along the midline acupuncture line, which goes up to the thyroid gland, and it affects also the brain, and it goes back down the spine and can affect the spine. So what do you need to do? You need to take the piercing out and get tested, usually by applied kinesiology techniques, to see if it shifts things, if things improve. I have seen people say their back pain stopped, their headache stopped, their depression stopped, their panic attacks, anxiety, depression stopped by removing a piercing, because the piercing was affecting the acupuncture line, and the acupuncture line was affecting the thyroid gland or the brain or the spine. And when you remove the irritant, things go back to normal. So that is kind of crazy. I see a lot of times where there's multiple piercings in some of these places that have a lot of acupuncture points, and sometimes a stud or a post needs to be removed. Sometimes it's safe to just do a different metal. You can sometimes have a reaction to gold, but not to silver or not to platinum, so it needs to be experimented with for what metal you can handle. Sometimes it just needs to be nothing and let that area rest. It's worth it if you're having some very complicated problems. Don't forget also that scars can be similar to piercings. Sometimes people have a scar from surgery on the chest or a C-section scar. I'll hear women complain that their health was never the same after child number 2 or 3. And I'll say, was child number 2 or 3 born C-section and the previous children were not? And very frequently the women say, yes. Why would I guess that? Because they were okay after the first child or 2, and then they had a C-section, and child was healthy, but they're left with a scar, and the scar was never treated or addressed. So sometimes the scar needs to be tested and treated. The way to treat the scars is usually use a laser on the scar for a while, and you can also rub certain oils on it, and it will calm down the scar. Not every scar is a problem. Not every piercing is a problem. But if a piercing is a problem or a scar is a problem, it needs to be handled because it can sabotage all efforts at getting better. So that's one of the weird little things that can sabotage your gains. And I thought it was just worth mentioning because nobody talks about this stuff. If it fixes your health, it's worth it to change the metal, to change the piercing, or sometimes just remove the piercing. It's worth it if your back pain stops. It's worth it if your panic attacks stop. So just wanted to throw that out as an interesting topic. I see that fairly often in some weird cases. Most of the time I get weird cases, difficult things that people are having trouble recovering from. They've been to multiple doctors. So if you know someone having some challenges, it could be a piercing that's causing some mischief. It could be a scar. I hope this was educational. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. It helps my channel grow. And I'll see you on another video.